So it's been a while since I've done a legendary deck spotlight, and part of the reason for that is just because there honestly hasn't been much new that I've been experimenting with. There hasn't been much new that has like rocked the meta. So the truth is I really didn't have anything that I felt like needed to be talked about. So I've tried a couple of what I would, I guess, call meme decks here or there for a bit, but nothing was really successful. And as a result, I don't really want to pitch something to you guys that is going to be, less than a 50% win rate. So I haven't made one in a while. But now that we've hit official release for PC and we've got some mobile players that'll hopefully be joining us here in the near future, starting with iPads and then Android tablets and then finally mobile phones later in the summer, I felt like it was my duty to at least make some videos to catch people up on decks that do exist. So I was kind of looking through the legendary deck spotlight videos I'd made in the past, and it has occurred to me that I have never made one for Combo Battle Mage. So I think a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that it is a well-known deck in the format. Other people have probably covered it better than I'm about to, so yeah. That being said, on the off chance that somebody finds me first before the other people, I want to make sure that I at least have some sort of, educational post about it, I guess. So we're going to cover that today. If you're not familiar, Combo Battle Mage is also called Merric Battle Mage or Atromancer Battle Mage, but it's the idea that you play a like semi-control-ish strategy in Battle Mage, using cards like Breton Conjurer and Daggerfall Mage and some other ward creatures to kind of stall the board. And then when you hit your late game, you try to assemble a critical mass for basically one of two huge like tempo swings or board state swings or life total swings, right? Because that's kind of the beauty of the deck, is it can do a bunch of different things. So the most common way that you do it is you play cards like either Raiding Party or Markarth Bannerman to put some Nord Firebrands in your hand. And once you've done that, you then combo those cards with either Merric. Merric can have some pretty crazy, people call them rolls, right? Kind of references rolling a dice to see your outcome. But basically, he equips random items on people in the same lane, which results in some pretty crazy rolls. And he can just take massive chunks of health out of your opponent. So that's why a lot of times people will call it Merric. But the truth is, the deck probably wins more frequently with Supreme Atromancer, largely because Merric is a unique and Supreme Atromancer is not. So strategy number 2 involves putting those same Firebrands in your hand, and then you play Supreme Atromancer, who gives you a 3/3 and 2 5/3s, and also does 4 damage when it enters play, because the Supreme Atromancer itself says it deals 2 damage to your opponent every time a creature enters play on your side, and that counts the 2 that it summons. So you play it, you get a board full of huge dudes. The 5/3s even have breakthrough, so it's basically just a massive amount of like impending damage on top of the 4 you just did to their dome. And if you have little 1/1 charge guys that cost 0 in your hand, you can then play those guys for basically 3 damage a pop, right? There are weird scenarios where, because of a prophecy, one of them might not be able to attack, but for the most part, like, you're going to play a dude, Atromancer does 2 to your opponent, and then they swing for 1. So, if you've got a swing or 2 in with Markarth, you've played a Raiding Party or 2, that Supreme Atromancer on, turn 9, or basically whenever you hit 9 Magicka, is a big swing, because you have instantly, even if you had an empty board, right? You go from an empty board to 2 5/3s and a 3/3, plus whatever 1/1 charge guys you play, plus you just did a bunch of damage to your opponent, right? Like, it's such a massive swing. I think rightfully so. If you've ever played Hearthstone, you probably are familiar with Dr. Boom, who is also often called Dr. 7. I call Supreme Atromancer Dr. 9. Basically, when you hit 9 Magicka, there's not many cards that you can play that are better. Blood Magic Lord is also a very popular 9-drop, and it's incredibly powerful because you always get instant value, but I think right now, at least in the current state of the game, Atromancer probably is still better. It just wins games on its own. Even games where you're behind, sometimes you just top deck it and win. It's just that good. So yeah, that is the majority of the deck in the nutshell. The list that has been up while I've been talking is the list that I run. There are a couple of variants. I know there are some that like a little more prophecy, right? So like I don't run the prophecy orcs, for example. I instead run Skaven pyromancers, but that's because I've been seeing a more frequent number of aggressive decks lately, and Skaven's really good against them. It's also another good self-activator for Breton Conjurer. But that being said, if you feel more comfortable just running more prophecy cards, then the orc is entirely fine. It's kind of the beauty is that with this deck, as long as you have the core in play, the rest of it is pretty flexible because you just have to survive long enough to pull off the combo. So don't feel like you have to run this list like in and out. Just make sure you have the core, right? So Atromancers, Merric, Bannerman, Raiding Party, and then the rest is like just survive. So anyway, that is the list in a nutshell, and like I'm not going to talk a ton on it because like I said, it's already been done. So whenever I do these, I always include some clips, so enjoy a couple of games featuring the deck and what it can do. And as always, I hope to catch you next time. Oh. Alright, here we go. Looks like we're playing up against Newmont. That name rings a bell. I don't really want any of those in the opener. I'd like some 2-drops. I'd like some non-prophecy. I guess that'll do. I think we'll wait. As much as I want to play that for tempo, kind of want to see, see, it's less likely that he is playing aggro.
Let's do this.
Oh, the whiff hurts. Kind of expected considering we're all intelligence cards in hand, though.
By the 8th, they will meet their makers.
That is definitely the sort of thing that would make me be a sad panda. I think we're going to take the free damage and put this down, and then just pray he doesn't have an Earthbone. It's really dangerous in this matchup to play this without having a self-activator, because Earthbone Spinner is likely going to be his answer, but oh, we catch a break. Wow, okay. So he plays some right from the old hand, huh? He didn't play an Earthbone, so I don't think he has one. So I actually think the play might be to play a second one, because if we then Skaven next round... Skaven next round means that we would get a 5/5 here and one here. Or we could also Skaven this round and then look at like playing a second one in a Wordcrafter the following round. Actually, I think I like that better.
Let's heat things up.
Or a Wordcrafter this round feels even better.
Careful there, friend.
Alright. I think we're going to put this over here to kind of diversify our stocks and bonds, if you will. I could buy an argument for lane stacking, but... Alright, so he gets another tome and takes out our precious 5/5, but at least we get a nice, like, no-brainer activation here.
All too simple.
I think we take that trade as well. Take that, and then... Because we have the self-activator, I think we'll go ahead and do this. We get to draw a card out of it. And then even if he has an Ice Storm, which would, I mean, be decent, right? But we would still have two, essentially 5/2s at that point. So, oh, he answers with one of his own, and we do not have our own Earthbone. There are a couple of different ways to handle that, but
I'll kill you while you stab.
I think we're likely going to Harpy here. Which means, I think,
all too simple.
I'm going to go ahead and Battle Mace, whack some, and we'll we'll do that. So he could have a self-activator just like we did, but we've put a pretty significant amount of pressure on him that, again, I don't think Ice Storm really saves him from. He would need Ice Storm and something to shock this for one, and then even still we would threaten almost lethal.
The forest will not
Ah, the Earthbone. Earthbone is quality. Alright, he dives that in. This Tempo Shackle was kind of a big deal. It's kind of funny that we're putting as much pressure on him as we are without, you know, our combo. Traditionally, this deck plays a little more conservatively.
Friend.
Also interesting that he chose that. But given that this is the mirror, and then we had a superior board state, I felt like it was acceptable to kind of push the envelope at that point. And, alright, I think we just Earthbone here. And that locks up the victory. Even if he has... Even if he had something, we had the Sharpshooter. Alright, so there's a game with Merric / Supreme Atromancer combo where you just don't play the combo. No big deal. Alright, here we go. We are going second against Scout. Now, that's a decent enough hand. Theoretically, I think we're supposed to be favored because of our burst damage here, but one of the things you have to understand is that favored does not mean auto win. And that could be good for us as well. And so what I was starting to say is that favor does not necessarily mean auto win because of, well, a number of reasons, but I think we just let this go again. You know, they could, you know, if we play Atromancer and it's a long drawn-out game, they could answer with Odiving. Depending on the version they run, they might have, you know, Snake-Tooth Necklaces and Swift Strikes and a host of other options. Yeah, I guess we'll do that.
Let's do this.
Whiffed! Never lucky. I think we just end the turn there. I don't think this is quite worth the Firebolt.
The waters of life. Seed and spleen.
So far, though, kind of impressed with his premiums, making me a little jelly. I'd really like to rapid shot something to like cycle and draw a card. We're not really seeing it. I think this is like a low quality play in terms of like tempo here, right?
Seed and spleen.
So at the moment we're kind of stuck waiting, which is bad. We do have a couple of belligerent giants. Those will hopefully bail us out of trouble if things go horrible here, but with him ramping twice, he is now up to 7 Magicka, which means we can expect some serious threats in the next couple of turns. Case in point. That bad boy. So, we have a couple of different ways that we can deal with that.
I have you now.
But I think we're going to start with
By the 8th, they will meet their makers.
shackling it. And we'll pass the turn. So barring him playing something to interfere,
You must be cleansed.
Interesting you chose to silence that, because that still allows me some wiggle room with some trades here.
Sheor take you.
So we're going to take that poke, and we know we're going to crack this rune this turn, but I would rather make sure that this is like outright out of the way, I think, so...
I have you now.
Alright.
If I fall,
First Rune Prophecy, kind of a bummer. Draw a card. Kind of want to firebolt that just because then he has to trade this. I mean, unless he has like a Murkwater Witch or something, right? But like, just given the known information we have about the board state, firebolting this, while not a sexy play, does hopefully remove the Shadowfen from the equation, because he'll likely trade that into the Harpy. And now we're at the point where we've got some Belligerent Giant tempo plays, hopefully, to kind of drive this home. Well, he's got another answer then. I don't think that there's a scenario where he does that without having an answer to this.
If I fall, the hist will reclaim me.
Fair. Fair, fair. So we have clear. If we ward Crafter, we can clear one of these, likely lose to the other one, and then we have Bannerman. Bannerman is likely going to get silenced, is my biggest problem with that line, and Bannerman's not something we want silenced. So Daggerfall could be a play just to potentially bait it.
I have you now.
Careful there, friend.
And let's do that either way. Yeah, I think we try to bait it.
They will meet their makers.
It really hurts me not playing the Bannerman that turn, but I mean, we know he's sitting on the priest, so now chances are he's got another priest or like Red Brahmin or something. So Bannerman, no guarantees that he lives, but I think we have to do the bare minimum here, which means baiting.
Sheor take you.
Follow me, men.
I don't want to give him the rune yet. Alright, so Tazcad could be a play because of us putting him in the open lane. Cliff Racers if he runs it. Alright, close call again. So that's 2 close calls. Interesting tech. Can't really blame him. It's working. Know what I mean? Let's see if this hits.
Let's shed some
Oh
light
my god, we
on
finally got one to hit, gang! Woo woo!
Your blood will spill.
Let's take that.
Isgramor.
Let's take our 4 damage, and as much as I want to just go 2 more damage face here, if he does run like Leaf Lurker, it's irresponsible to let him be able to ping this and hit it with a Leaf Lurker, and I don't think I want to waste the Earthbone on it. Because since we don't have any of our big finishers yet, you know, no Merric, no Supreme Atromancer, I think it's in our best interest to play this kind of slow. Alright. So we have a Merric. So I think that the proper play is we're probably going to Earthbone here, Merric, and then swing. If only because he's still a turn away from activating this, right? And we're going to Earthbone first because we want it to get the Merric value. Otherwise we would normally play it afterwards, but
The forest will not suffer your presence.
By Stendar's breath.
here's where you hope for the high roll. That's a pretty big one. That's a pretty big one. Oh, and some free tempo.
Isgramor.
So we're going to go ahead with that.
Sheor take you.
Hit him with that.
Who goes there?
Okay.
I live to serve.
Midnight Sweep slows us down. Oh, he hit 2.
The forest is my strength and my courage.
Fair enough.
I have you now.
Alright. So the bad news is that he hit a couple of prophecies, but the good news is that we put a lot of pressure on him here. Odiving obviously is a problem, but there's not much we can do about it, right? Sneak Thief Necklace, kind of a problem, just because of health gain. And has he got another one? Yeah, see, he was all up in us with the finish off effects. And the drain life. Actually, I think we're gonna put it here.
Be on your guard.
Because we're not gonna be able to bounce this, so realistically. Alright, so we know we're doing this. We know we're doing this. I'm actually kind of tempted to take this trade with the Ward Crafter. And then Giant here. Because he's only got the one card left, so he's going to have this plus a top deck. This can't feed him more, and it's just going to eat this. So I think board control is probably more important at the moment. Right? So let's go ahead and do that. Make sure he doesn't get any 8/8s. So again, obviously like Odiving sucks, Red Brahmin sucks, but those are things that you can't really play around. Oh, Heroic Rebirth, awesome. What did he roll? Adoring Fan. Ouch.
I bow to your victory.
Ouch. Alright, well there we go. That's the power of Merric. One good high roll can swing a game.